Wakey wakey, the Kellogg's football camps are back this summer. To claim a free place, grab a promotional pack of Kellogg's cornflakes, Cocoa Pops or Rice Krispies. More information is available via the link in the description of this episode. Would you like to score epic goals like Erling Haaland, Alessia Russo or Kylian Mbappe? Well, look no further than the Score Like a Striker book. The first book in a fantastic new series from the best-selling author Ben Littleton, whose previous books include the likes of 12 Yards, Edge and the smash hit Football School series. If you haven't already, then listen to the episode which I've done with Ben, and a link to buy that very book is in the description of that episode. So, what are you waiting for? Grab yourself a book, listen to that episode, and score like a striker. Score Like a Striker is published by Puffin. In this episode, you will learn how Dembélé and his family turned down a multi-million-pound deal before he had even become a senior player, and how he had somebody in particular who really believed in him. And lastly, you'll hear in this episode why he asked a football coach, "Do you have proper football kits and an actual referee?" All of that coming up on this episode on Ousmane Dembélé. Welcome to the Football for Kids podcast with me, Darren Rees, and welcome to yet another episode on PSG Week, where every episode which is released this week is an episode on somebody or something to do with PSG. So, to kick things off, let's get stuck into this episode on one of the most requested players I've ever had on the show in 3 years or more. The unstoppable, the ferocious, the goal-scoring powerhouse, the Frenchman, Ousmane Dembélé. Before we do that, let's have a look at a couple of your Apple Podcast reviews, and a huge, humongous thank you to everyone who's taken the time to hit the follow button and hit that 5-star review button as well. The first one is from Henry's favourite pod, 5 stars. It says, "Best pod, please do an episode on Charlton. They got promoted from League 1 to the Championship. Up the Addicts, from Harry." Well, a massive shout out to you, Harry. Thank you so much for taking the time to write a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. I really appreciate it, and I hope that you really enjoyed this episode. And the last one before we get into this episode properly is from Theo Bayo. 5 stars. "Hey Darren, I'm Theo and I am an Arsenal fan. Please can you do an episode on Declan Rice? Hope you respond. Please, please, please. Thank you. By the way, I love the pod." Well, Theo, look at this. You've taken the time, put the effort in, and stuck a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and you have appeared on the show. And an episode on Declan Rice? Well, your wish has already been granted, because I have already done an episode on Declan Rice. It's in there amongst the 400 episodes on the Football for Kids podcast. So have a search through, and I'm sure you'll find it, and plenty of others which you'll like to listen to. Right then, now we've done a couple of those, let's get into this episode, shall we? On Ousmane Dembélé, who was born on the 15th of May 1997 in France to West African parents. Where Dembélé grew up, he played football on the streets and in the local area with the other kids. Some of the area was an area where you had to be able to look after yourself and have your wits about you. It was a place where you learnt to look after yourself, where you had to build confidence and belief in yourself. All qualities which helped Dembélé when it came to his football. The many hours that Dembélé played on the streets and with the local kids racked up. And the more hours he did, the better he got. It's really simple. Play more, train really hard, listen, and put all that stuff into action, and you will get better. There's nothing complicated about it. Dembélé did all of this so much and so well, and at about 6 years old, he was spotted by a local football coach, Ahmed Wabi, who coached a local football team. He was super impressed with Dembélé and spoke to him and his adults about him joining the team. Wabi was impressed with his technique and the wisdom that he showed at such a young age. Those hundreds of hours of playing football on the streets in that area had made him a level-headed young man with a solid personality and character, and someone who could look after himself. So the story goes, the first question, or at least one of the very first questions that Dembélé asked the football coach was this. Okay, so do you have proper football kits and a proper referee? The coach ensured him that they did. It was proper football. This was something which really excited Dembélé, even at such a young age. So there he was, now playing in a proper team with proper kits and a proper referee. What about that? In the 400 episodes or more that I've covered on this podcast, there have been many a scenario when someone has been a big part of a player's story. Almost always that is the case. The driving force, the person who has played a huge part in that player's life and their career. And it would appear for Ousmane Dembélé that the person that we're going to talk about in this situation and in this scenario was his mother. She could really see the passion ooze out of him when he spoke or did anything to do with football. But she could also see how unbelievably persistent and talented he was. There was something about her young son, a fluttering feeling in her stomach that told her he could go on to do something very, very special. So, with an already football-pumping heart and an unwavering amount of grit and determination, and a mother who was really with him every step of the way, Dembélé kept going. His mum ensured that he made it to every training session, no matter the weather, no matter the time, no matter what was going on at home. Every game and every football-related activity, he would be there. She got him there and she kept him grounded in the process. Dembélé would be praised almost everywhere he went when it came to football. People would pepper him with compliments and big him up. I mean, it was only natural because he was just so good at such a young age. People weren't used to seeing a kid his age do the things with a football which he did. His mother made sure he kept his feet on the ground though. She didn't want him becoming cocky or arrogant because nobody likes people who are cocky or arrogant. And if she ever saw any signs of it, well, let's just say she would sort it out pretty quick. At around 13 years old, Dembélé and his mum were getting approached by all the top academies in France. Pretty much every top football coach and or scout in the country had heard about him by this point, and everyone wanted him on board. The academy that he would eventually join was Rennes, the same place we spoke about when we spoke about Desiree Doué just the other day. This academy seemed to be a great fit for Dembélé, and it worked well for him and what he needed. Ousmane Dembélé worked harder than ever, putting 110% into everything he was doing. He would leave nothing on the training ground, nothing on the pitch in the games. He put his heart and soul into everything he did. And with his already natural ability with a football, he progressed at a scary rate. By the time he was 17 years old, he was getting ridiculous offers from all over the place. Before he had even played for the Rennes first team, Red Bull Salzburg made an offer of somewhere around €2 million for him. However, Dembélé would stay put. He would stay with the club and went on to play for the Rennes second team and the first team eventually. And in his first season with the first team, he was still a teenager. Yet, he scored 12 goals in 26 games, becoming the youngest player in Ligue 1 history to score double-figure goals. Dembélé was a serious player, a serious star in the making, and making some serious moves. The footballing world had their eyes firmly on him, and it wouldn't be long before he was snapped up by one of the giant clubs about. The real moment of wow came in a game when he scored a hat-trick. He didn't just score a hat-trick though. He was so sharp he left veteran defenders on their backsides with his sharp angle changes and his incredible ball control. In the stands that day, watching the teenager Dembélé were many of the footballing big dogs. including one of the most senior people at FC Barcelona. After this incredible season, the 18-year-old Dembélé was getting interest from Premier League clubs like Manchester City, Liverpool and Chelsea. But Dembélé had already made his mind up in terms of where he was going. He would be going to Borussia Dortmund in the German Bundesliga. And he even had Jurgen Klopp trying to convince him to come to Liverpool at this point, having a private and personal meeting with him, trying to get him to sign on the dotted line for the boys at Anfield. But Dembélé had his heart set on Dortmund. Ousmane Dembélé spent one season with Borussia, where he lived up to the hype. He was electric, he scored goals, he made match-saving challenges, he created opportunities galore, and he had those in the stands clapping with their mouths wide open. The French teenager was a wonderkid who was seriously impressive, and everybody who set their eyes on him certainly didn't forget him anytime soon. Remember I said about Dembélé scoring that hat-trick and the FC Barcelona director being in the stands? Well, they never took their eyes off of him, and after a season in the Bundesliga, they were even more interested, and let's put it frankly, even more desperate to get their hands on him. And in August 2017, they would get their man. So it's reported, Barcelona paid somewhere around 97 million for the young Frenchman. However, it wasn't the dream start for the 20-year-old. Only a few games in, he picked up a serious hamstring injury, which put him off the pitch for 3 to 4 months. Frustrating and heartbreaking stuff. But it's life, and Dembélé did everything he could to stay positive and recover so he could play for one of the biggest clubs in the world to the best of his ability. Of course, he would eventually make his return to the pitch, thanks to his positive thinking and his discipline to getting back to being fully fit. And he would spend 6 seasons with the club in total, which was a bit of a rollercoaster of a journey. He scored some crucial goals, he made some really important assists, he won many a trophy and competition, but he had repeated injuries over and over again, especially with that blooming hamstring of his. And this was incredibly frustrating for him. In August 2023, Dembélé's time at FC Barcelona would come to an end. Unfortunately, there was some negative stuff which filled the end of his playing career there. But sometimes these things happen for a reason. Ousmane Dembélé would make his way back to France and go from one enormous club to yet another when he joined the place where he resides now, which is of course Paris Saint-Germain. It took Dembélé a little while to get his engine fired up at PSG since returning to playing football in the French division, but he got there in the end. And in the opening part of the 24-25 season, he scored 11 goals in the space of 6 games. Not bad going at all. Dembélé, as I record this today, is a huge part of the PSG team, and he seems to be enjoying his football in France again, which is a delight to see. Not only has he been fantastic for clubs like Barca, Borussia and PSG, but he has been representing his country of France since the under-17s. He won the World Cup with them in 2018 and became a runner-up in the Qatar World Cup as well. And at just 28 years old, he still has so much more to give. So then, from the streets of France and that undeniable attitude to be the best version of himself, and with the support of his mother, he went on to do some great things. He was just a kid like you playing football on the streets, and he turned his dreams into a reality. And whatever it is you want to do in your life, there is no reason why with hard work, grit and determination, you can go on and do some wonderful things yourself. So keep going, never ever give up. If you do give up, you can guarantee that what it is you want to do and what you set out to achieve won't happen. But if you keep going, well, you just might. So remember, if you know someone who loves football just as much as you do, then please tell them about Football for Kids. And whether you're playing football soon, watching it on the telly or pitch side, I hope that you enjoy the game. See you next time. Oh, and adults, if you wouldn't mind just taking 30 seconds to share the show on your own social media or in any WhatsApp groups you're in for kids football or school stuff, it would be extremely helpful and I genuinely appreciate it an enormous amount. Please do tag me on anything you post on Instagram. I am Darren Rees_.
podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Craftsman Days are here at Lowe's with big savings on the tools you need. Save $100 on the Craftsman V26 Tool Power Tool Combo Kit, now at $199. No matter what the project is, Craftsman's high-quality, high-performance products empower you to build on. Visit Lowe's and check out the full line of Craftsman tools today. Valid through 7/9 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. Maximum initial battery voltage measured without a workload is 20 volts. Nominal voltage is 18.